Shalom, shalom. It is 9:17 a.m. December 29th, 2024. Good morning, good morning, good morning. As you all see, the title this morning is Red Flags. Red Flags. This topic, I really want to just come in real quick, and I know I normally say real quick and it's still pretty lengthy, but I promise you this is going to be real quick. As much as I possibly can make it, it's going to be quick. Red flags are often overlooked. We often overlook red flags because we want to see the good in people. We want to see the good in a situation. We want to see the good in the potential of a thing. So therefore, we ignore the red flags going against our better judgment and or the facts, right? The facts. We go against the facts, right? Because red flags are an indication of danger, which is also an indication of something that has been proven. So the definition of red flags is a red flag used as a warning of danger, a warning signal or sign. And as I've said, a lot of times we overlook the red flags because we want to see the good in someone, or we want to see the good in something. And by the time we realize that we should have heed to those red flags, it's normally too late, and it normally comes at a cost to us. It normally comes at a cost to us. A lot of times, especially in romantic relationships, we will overlook the red flags because we have a desire to connect with someone. We have a desire to be loved. We have a desire to love. We have a desire of this fantasy that we have created in our brain, and we allow those desires to blind us to the facts that is presented in front of our faces. And it's very sad that we do that, because oftentimes, like I said, by the time we realize that we should have heed to those red flags sooner and ended relationships or cut friendships or even cut off family in some cases, we learn those lessons the hard way. We learn those lessons the hard way. And unfortunately, some lessons we cannot bounce back from. Some lessons we cannot bounce back from. And it costs us more than what we can actually afford to pay. So therefore, we find ourselves without, and I'm not just talking about without material things. Sometimes, unfortunately, when we ignore the red flags, it is to the ending of our life, right? Unfortunately. Now, I want to take this conversation in a different direction, right? I want to take this conversation to a different direction. When it comes to identifying friends and or enemies, normally the difference between the two are red flags. Normally the difference between enemies and or friends are red flags, right? Things that pop up that are used to get your attention, to show you danger, warning, something here is not adding up. Something here is not adding up. Pay attention, or evacuate the situation, or remove yourself from the person's connection, or remove yourself out of an environment or a location, whatever, So what I really wanted to name this video was Enemies Don't Change. That's what I really wanted to name this video. Enemies don't change. Enemies do not change. Sometimes we list someone as an enemy because we have had a falling out with them, right? We have had a falling out with them. They might have tried to slander our name. They might have tried to cause some people who we're cool with or close with, or even family members for that matter, to come up against us. You know, they might have done some horrible things to us, right? And not so horrible that they can't be forgiven. Not so horrible that they can't be forgiven. But sometimes we classify the wrong people as enemies. And the ones who we should classify as enemies, we classify them as allies. And it's sad that we can't see the difference. It's sad that we can't see the difference. We can't see the red flags, you know, because we have so much hope. We have so much hope in the good that is in someone, or the hope of the good that is in a situation, that we ignore the red flags. Now, I want to ask you all, because I've said it already to some extent. I want to ask you, have you ever had a real enemy? Have you ever had a real enemy? A verified enemy? Someone from once you realize who they were up until present day time, you know that they are an enemy. You have identified them as an enemy, and you understand their mission in your life. And you have removed them from your presence. You have disconnected all contact. You have disconnected everything that they may be able to use against you to bring some type of harm to you. Have you disconnected yourself from them? Someone who has gone above and beyond to try to destroy you. Someone who has tried to destroy your family. Someone who has tried to destroy your name. Someone who has tried to destroy your peace. Someone who has tried to destroy your livelihood. Someone who has tried to destroy your heritage. Someone who has tried to destroy your image. Someone who has tried to destroy your reputation. Someone who has used their ability and or their influence to hinder you in all areas of your life. Someone who has poisoned your food, your water, or even someone who has caused you to put things in your body to cause diseases. These are red flags. These are what you use to identify an enemy. Red flags are used and are given to give us a first-hand warning of the dangers that lurk. And unfortunately, we do not pay attention to the red flags enough. We do not pay attention to the red flags enough, and we constantly put ourselves in harm's way because, as I've said earlier, we have hope in the good in others. We have hope in the good in situations. We have hope in the good of the outcome will be in our favor. But what happens when that hope that you have in the good in others, or the good in the outcome, or the good in situations, don't pan out the way that you thought that it was going to pan out? What happens when you ignore the red flags, people? What happens? Normally, what happens, like I said earlier, when you ignore the red flags, you are now faced with some type of challenge, if possible, some type of challenge or some type of conflict that now you have the disadvantage to. Now you have put yourself in a situation where you have the disadvantage because you have given others the advantage by ignoring the red flags. Now you have to play catch up or make up. Now you have to do all of this catching up, making up, trying to gather get ground, trying to get a footing, trying to get yourself in a situation where you are in a better place. So it is important that we understand that enemies don't change. When we study scripture, you will see that nations that have been enemies for centuries, and nothing has changed. Those enemies, even present day time, still are enemies. The conflict that those enemies have towards one another from the beginning of time to the end of time will persist. And it's the same in our lives. It's the same in our lives. Whenever an enemy has been identified, you can't expect for one day something to happen that now you and that enemy can now be friends. How can you be friends with someone who has gone above and beyond to try to destroy you and your life and the life of your family? How can you become friends with someone who targets you to destroy you, to take away from you, and to bring nothing but harm your way? Even death, if possible. Even death. So we have ignored the red flags. We have ignored the red flags, and we have identified the wrong people as enemies. The ones who we look at as enemies are actually our allies. And the ones that we identify as our allies are actually our enemies. And it's crazy because we do everything we can to become like our enemies. We do everything we can to become like our enemies. I'm about to say something. And it's gonna piss some of y'all off. I'm gonna just be straight up. It's gonna piss some of you all off, and it's gonna upset some of y'all. And some of y'all might even unfriend me. Some of y'all might unfollow me. Some of y'all might even speak out against me. But I gotta tell it like it is, right? How to put it? You have got to have some type of mental illness. You have got to have some type of mental illness to want to be like people who are so heartless that you do everything in your power to fight to be like them and or to fight to be accepted by them. You got to have a mental illness to fight to be accepted by the people who are heartless towards you and yours, to the fact where they unalive you in these horrific ways. And yet you fight, you march, you boycott, you do everything you can to be accepted into their space. This last 2 years, I must say, I really had to reevaluate our history here in America. I really had to reevaluate our history here in America and look at it from a different standpoint. And I started questioning, why are we constantly fighting to be accepted in spaces we're not welcome in? Why do we constantly fight to be accepted into spaces we are not welcome in just so we can be mistreated? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Why would you want to fight to be alongside your enemy, arm in arm? Why? What would make a person want to follow the path of people who are heartless towards you and yours? It don't make logical sense. We ignored the red flags, people. We ignored the red flags, and we fought to be amongst our enemies. And that goes against what scripture, what the Most High has instructed us to do, because he said, do not follow the ways of the heathen. But yet we use certain practices that the heathens were doing to gain rights and privileges and different things of that nature. We use their practices and their laws to force them to give us what they have so that we can be mistreated while we're in their midst. Like, it just don't make sense. It just don't make sense. And it bothers me. It bothers me to look back on our history. And once before, I used to be proud of us. I did. I used to be proud of our accomplishments in this world. When it comes to gaining civil rights, I used to be proud of that. I did. I used to be proud of that. But then when I look back, I said we was a foolish people. We were a foolish people to fight to be mistreated. Because that's what it was. We fought our enemies to make them accept us into their spaces, only so that they can have more ways to mistreat us. And then we continue to fight today for certain rights, certain human rights that we should have, but you got to understand who you are amongst. You have to understand who you are amongst. Woo. So we just keep ignoring the red flags. It's like a woman in an abusive relationship. At first, she ignored the little things that her partner would do. She ignored it. Oh, and she'll write it off as, oh, he was just drunk, or he was upset. It won't nothing. It won't that bad, But then as time goes on, now he's outright whooping her tail, and she's still fighting to see the good in this man. She's still fighting to see the good in this man who is whooping her tail on a regular basis, blacking her eyes, bloodying her nose, busting her lips, putting bruises all over her body. And in some cases, and this is going to be probably trigger warning, so let me warn you, for those women who have experienced this stuff, I'm not picking on you. I promise you, I'm not picking on you. For some women, they have actually endured miscarriages at the hands of the man who impregnated them, and the man who loves them, or let me correct that, the man who they love, because he don't love you. The man who they love, they have suffered miscarriages because the man beat them so bad while they was pregnant. But because they ignored the red flags at the beginning, and then once they got past the red flags and now they're in this relationship, now they want to ignore the facts. Now they want to ignore the facts, and they don't see that this is not going to change. And the only way that this relationship is going to change is if you leave. You have to leave this relationship in order for it to change, because staying here is detrimental to your health and to your life, and you might not get the opportunity again to leave. So leave, right? We keep ignoring the red flags, people. We keep ignoring the red flags, and we keep fighting our enemies to be accepted into their spaces, and into their laws, and into their government, and into their way of living, and into this fake American dream that they have sold us. We don't realize where we are. We are in the land of our captivities. We are in the land of our captors. Those who enslaved our ancestors, bought them as if they were animals, treated them as less than animals. All of the different things that our ancestors went through, and we truly believe that these people, once we receive some type of freedom, because it's not freedom, it's some form of, but it's not. Once we receive some form of freedom, we thought that we really was free to do whatever, free to be accepted, free to do the things that they do, this, that, and the third. And we keep ignoring the fact that these are the same people who enslaved us, who mistreated us, who killed us, who did all these different things to us from the beginning of time up to present day. And we're still fighting. We're still fighting to be accepted in this world. We're still fighting to be accepted within their spaces that they don't want us in. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because we keep ignoring the red flags, people. We keep ignoring the red flags. And so, like I said, enemies don't change. They don't change. What do? They modify. They adapt. Enemies don't change. They adapt. What does adapt mean? They make something suitable for a new use or purpose. That's what they did for us. They change. They change their use and or purpose of us. But we're not accepted. They modified their tactics. They modified their ways of interacting with us. You know, nothing has changed. You think because you have been given the ability to obtain material things, that means that you are free. You think that because you have been given the ability to own stuff, which you really don't own nothing if you always have to pay taxes on it, and if you fall behind on your taxes, they come take it away. You think because you have been given the ability to own stuff, that makes you free? Why, when our people were set free, why didn't they return us back to where they got us from? You know, normally when this conversation has taken a completely different turn. This conversation has taken a completely different turn. I promise you, it has taken a completely different turn. But why, when they passed the bill to end slavery, why did they not return us back to the land in which they got us from? Why didn't they? Why didn't they foot the bill to get us back? They hated us so much that they continued on with mistreating us through Jim Crow and redlining and all of these other things. Why did they not send us back to the land that they got us from? Why did they not do that? It's just, we just keep ignoring the red flags, and we think that we are amongst friends. And I'm not talking about all of y'all, so don't y'all get in your feelings. I'm talking about those who are in power. Those that's in power, those who have the ability to make laws, change laws, to regulate things, and even those who vote for these people to be in these positions. Like, why is it that we don't see? Why is it that we don't see that it is impossible for the very people who have enslaved us, mistreated us, unalived us in so many different ways, in horrific ways, celebrated us, they actually would sell tickets to come and watch us be unalived, and then take parts of our body and either eat it or keep it as a souvenir. Did y'all know that? How can you expect for these people to lead you to salvation through Christianity? How do you think that they are able to share the truth about salvation? It's just red flags, people. Red flags. We keep ignoring red flags, and it's hurting us. It's hurting us. It is hurting us. It is hurting us because we want to see the good. We want to see the good. But just because you want to see the good don't mean that there's good there to see. But we don't accept that as the facts, even though it is proven. It has been proven. And then we wonder why we can't get certain bills passed to protect us, or why we can't get reparations, or why we can't get some type of form of restitution for the harm that they have inflicted on our people. And some people like say, oh, slavery was years and hundreds and thousands of years ago. No, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, really, civil rights was just passed in the 60s. In the 60s, y'all. That's like, what, 50-some years ago? 60-some years ago? That is not a long time ago. And even up to present day time, we still have people who dislike us simply because of our, well, it's deeper than simply because of what we look like. It really is. It's a spiritual thing, but I'm not trying to get too deep into that topic right now, but I'm also not trying to make it all about skin color, but the facts are the facts. The facts are the facts, right? The facts are the facts. And the fact of the matter is, we are amongst the land of our captors and our enemies. And the whole purpose of us being here was never to make us like them. So if the purpose was never to make us like them, don't think just because you have certain abilities now that makes you one of them. Because we're not. We're not one of them. And they're going to do everything they can to keep us from obtaining everything that they have. Because it was never designed for us to have everything that they have. Because we're in the land of our captives. And this is biblical, y'all. This is not a Shavita's personal beliefs. This is not a Shavita rant of how she's feeling today. This is accurate understanding. Let me see if I can read this. What is the land? They got us from Negro land. They got us from Africa. That's where they got us from. Come on, you should know this. Or you, I don't know what you mean when you ask me that. Like, are you asking me because you really want to know, or I don't know why you're asking that. I don't know. Exactly, cuz exactly. Our ability to vote has absolutely nothing to do with the outcome of what these people gonna do. They already know who they're gonna put in these seats before election time even come. They just make us believe that we have the power to choose. No, only thing you're doing is showing them that they can actually keep up with who is voting for who. I got information in the mail not too long ago before the election, and I received like 4 different like some type of survey type thing or whatever, and they actually keep up with how often you voted, when you voted, and you know they pretty much tag you as being a Republican or a Democrat without you even telling them which way you go. So according to their estimation, they can determine how many people voting from this area that's Republicans and or Democrats and this, then the third. So the only reason why we go to vote is so they can keep tabs on what we're doing and how we think, so that they know how to move and strategize and plan against us. Our votes do not go towards putting people in the seat. I don't care how many of y'all all into this government stuff and y'all think that it matters. It don't. It does not matter. It does. I know you knew. I knew you knew, cuz. But it's just we need to understand the importance of not overlooking facts. Yeah, I'm not going to say a lot of us was already here, but I do believe some of us was already here. I do believe that. I do believe some of us was already here, and I do also believe a lot of us was brought over here. And those of us who was here before Columbus got here, and then after a while they also became enslaved. It's a twofold thing. You know, two things could be true at one time, and some people just don't like to we have a hard time getting outside of the box. You know, our people have a hard time getting outside of the box and looking at the situation at a with a bigger lens. You know, we have this thing where it got to be one way or no way, and that's not always the case. Two things can actually be true at one time. You know, we actually had people here and we had people brought over here, but at the end of the day, we are still from the same bloodline. You know what I'm saying? We're still from the same bloodline, and the same thing happened to all of us. All of us had gotten at some point in time enslaved, and some of our people actually own slaves. So it goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand. But some people don't want to hear that. Some people want to be, oh no, it was all this or it was all that. But it was both. It was really both. It was really both. Thank you. Thank you for actually engaging with me, you're the first person. Normally people don't engage with me, so I really appreciate that. I really do. I really appreciate that. Okay, I read that already. So, like I was saying, though, we really ignore red flags. And when we do that, it really causes a lot of issues for us. It causes a lot of issues for us, and sometimes, like I said, unaliving. We cannot keep walking in this world thinking that just because we have certain privileges, just because we have certain privileges in these nations in which we live in, that means we're free. Because when things don't go the way the majority wants it, the first people they're pointing at is us. I mean, I don't know if you all are paying attention to things that's going on outside of this nation as well as what's going on inside this nation, but the first people they went to is black people. We're the problem because we didn't do X, Y, and Z, or we are a threat. And it's like our people don't even have the means to even be a threat to anybody. Our people are a peaceful people, even though, let the statistics show it, we are very violent. They like to paint us as being very violent people and this, then the third. But it's just like, how are we even a threat to certain things that they got going on that don't even have nothing to do with us? How? How is it that we are a threat to the people over in the Middle East? We don't own no planes. We don't own no boats. We don't have no money like that to do anything. So it's like, how are we a threat? So you got to ask yourself, why do these people look at us as a threat? Because they understand who we really are and who is on our side once we get ourselves in alignment with him. They understand. They know who we are. They always known who we were. We just didn't know. And that goes back to red flags and understanding your enemy and your enemy not changing. When your enemy has the upper hand, on you and you don't know that your enemy is watching you and they're learning your ways and they have the ability to enforce certain things, then do you really think that they're going to ever give you the ability to get the upper hand on them? I mean, I don't know about y'all, right? And I don't want y'all to think that I'm some type of violent person. I'm not a violent person. I just believe in self-defense. So if you are ever in a physical conflict, if you are winning, would you turn around and give your opponent a weapon that can now be used against you so that they can in turn win against you? Would you do that? Do that make sense? Would do that make sense? I mean, I know if I'm in a physical conflict, if I'm fighting somebody, my goal is to subdue you. My goal is to win. My goal is to put you down. My goal is to make sure you don't get up. Right? That's my goal. My goal is to get you to a place where you don't move and I can either remove myself or I can just end the conflict. You know what I'm saying? I would use the word de-escalate, but if we're in a physical confrontation, de-escalating is the last thing on my mind. Let's just be real with it. De-escalating ain't it. Yeah, my form of de-escalating is making sure you don't get up. And I'm not talking about unaliving you. I'm talking about knocking you out or hurting you enough where you realize, you know what, I don't want no more. I want you to surrender. I want you to say, okay, I give up. I don't want to fight no more. So if you have been fighting the same enemy for centuries and somewhere along the way, you start looking at your enemy as no longer your enemy, but a possible ally, how does that make sense? How does that make sense? Like, we have lost our everlasting minds somewhere along the way. And we stopped realizing that the ones who was over us are enemies. And we looked at them as friends. We looked at them as allies. We looked at them as somebody who cared. These people don't care about us. I might have to I might have to delete this live. Cause I might cause some red flags on my own with this live. They might look at me differently and say, "Oh, you know what? She might be a problem. She just might be a problem." So yeah, y'all get it while y'all can get it, cause I might have to delete this. I don't really see me having. I don't see me being able to keep this up. Told y'all this live done went in a completely different direction, boy. But it's just yeah. This live has definitely gone in a different direction than what I had planned on it going. But I want y'all to really look at this. I'm gonna read this out again, right? Do you have an enemy? I mean a verified enemy. Someone who's gone above and beyond to destroy you. Think about it. Somebody who has gone above and beyond to destroy your family, to destroy your name. And we're not talking about you and your family. I'm not talking about you and your household alone. I'm talking about your bloodline, the people in which you come from. Look at the bigger picture, more than just you. Did everything they could to destroy your peace, everything they could to destroy your livelihood, everything they could to destroy your heritage, everything they could to destroy your reputation, everything they could to use their ability and or their influence to hinder you in all areas of your life. Someone who has unalived your family members and or family member. Like these are what you use to identify enemies. The stuff that we use to identify enemies is just, it's nothing. You done had a dispute with somebody, y'all done had some words, you feel some kind of way, y'all like the same person, so now you feel some kind of way towards them. That ain't no enemy. That's competition. That's what that is. But y'all label them as the enemy. But the ones who really are your enemies are the ones out here destroying your people from the beginning of us first stepping foot here. And we want to fight to be like them. You want to fight to be heartless? You want to fight to mistreat people like you? You want to fight to mistreat less fortunate people? You want to fight to be like them? How does that make sense? How does that make sense? We want to be just like them. The words say, do not follow the way of the heathen. Don't follow the way of the heathen. And yet we do everything we can to be like them. Everything. I don't care what nation you find us at. Our people have been fighting for rights. Our people have been trying to go to the government to ask for certain things so that we can be treated like humans. You asking people to treat you like a human? Just be human. You ain't got to ask nobody to give you something that's already given to you. How does that make sense? Just be who you are. You're a human, right? So why are you fighting for others to treat you like a human? Just be who you are. They can't deny who you are. I mean, they could try, but they can't deny you. But you're giving them power to believe that they can by asking for their permission to treat you like a person, to give you rights. They don't have the ability to give you nothing when it comes to human compassion and human understanding and human life. They don't have the ability to do none of that. And yet we go and ask, can y'all pass this bill so that we can not be unalived by the people in the blue, so that they can be held accountable? Can y'all pass this law so that people can stop mistreating us when we go looking for housing? Can y'all pass this law so that we can go to the same school as y'all kids? Can y'all pass this law so that we can sit wherever we want to sit at on the bus? Can y'all pass this law so that we can sit up here and go to the same restaurants for the people who don't like us to cook our food? Do that make sense? You think I want somebody who don't like me to cook my food? That's just like them not liking us, but yet having our mothers raising their kids and feeding out their kids with their own breasts. It don't make logical sense. It don't make logical sense. We're humans. I mean, we're animals, but you got us animals feeding your child off of our breasts, and you got us cooking your food. Stuff just don't make sense. It just don't make sense. It really don't. It just don't make sense. And it's like, it just baffles me how much we fight to be accepted in spaces that don't want us. Let them have their space. If they don't want you over here, don't go there. Do that mean that they're better than you because you can't go over there? No, it just means that they're over there and we're over here. We do our thing over here. Let's keep it like that. What is wrong with that? What's wrong with that? I don't see nothing wrong with that. Until when they decide they want to come over here and disturb us because they don't like the fact that we're enjoying our space and our peace alone and separate. Then that's a problem. That's when it becomes a problem. But for us to sit up here and want to keep fighting them to give us permission to sit at their table, or to keep going to them for permission to be able to be treated the same when we go to their schools, or to have the same privileges as their church. I'm just feeling some kind of way today, I guess. I guess I'm just feeling some kind of way today. I mean, and it all came, I watched the movie, what is it? The movie with, what's my girl? Y'all know that new movie with the black women in World War II. That movie messed me up. It messed me up because it's like I said, I used to be proud of our people for being able to be resilient and to be able to fight for what we know is right. But some fights, I just feel like we don't need to be fighting. Some fights, I just feel like we don't need to be fighting. We keep fighting to be accepted in spaces that we're not welcome in. And why? Why do you fight to be in spaces that you're not welcome in, only so they could continue to mistreat you in another way? It just don't make logical sense to me. And that movie really did something to me, because it's like, okay, y'all see these people, they don't want you here. And they gonna do everything they can to make your life miserable, and it's hard. And it's good that we can show them that they're wrong. It's good that we can show them that they're wrong. That is a good thing. It's good that we can show them that they're wrong about us. But at the same time of us proving that they're wrong about us, we're fighting for something that's even worse. We're fighting to be used in a different way. But we don't see that. We don't see that. We're trying to prove to them that we are equally as useful and equally as helpful and equally as smart and equally as intelligent as they are. Why? I have gotten to a point in my life, and even though I say I have gotten to a point in my life, when I look back on my life, I think I've always kind of been there. Thank you. I think I've always been there, and that is, I don't care what other people think about me. I don't care what other people think about me. And when I say I don't care, I mean, I promise you, I have zero cares. Zero cares. And that don't go just for them. That's anybody. I have zero cares about what somebody might think of me, what somebody might say about me, how somebody might feel about me. I don't have any cares. So for me to sit up here and try to prove to somebody else that I'm worthy of them accepting me as them, or accepting me as a person or as a human, or accepting me into their spaces, I don't have no desire. No, I don't have any desire to do that at all. And I pray that my people will soon understand that they don't need to ask permission from anybody else to be who they are. Just be who you are. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's not hard. It is not hard. Just be you. Whoever you are, just be you. If this is who you are, just be that. Just be that. Stop asking for permission. Stop justifying who you are. Stop justifying and looking for somebody else's acceptance or approval. Red flags, people. Red flags. We keep ignoring these red flags. We keep forgetting. We have forgotten that enemies don't change. They don't change. They adapt. They don't change. They adapt. What does that mean? It means they make suitable. They make something suitable for a new use or purpose. They modify. Thank you. And thank you for joining my live. I really appreciate that, Sheldon. You were in Tennessee? I know you're out of state. I think it's Tennessee. I might be wrong. It's one of them Tennessee, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it Tennessee? Thank you. Thank you for watching the live and for participating. I appreciate that. Excuse me. Okay, thank you. See, I'll be watching. But it's something, that we just we got to understand that what has happened to our people didn't just happen by circumstance. It was a purpose. It was a reason. It was a purpose. It was a reason. And nothing has changed with that purpose and that reason. They just modified things. They have just modified things. And they made things look as if we are free. Now, do we have more freedom than our ancestors? Yes, we do. We have more freedom. We have more freedom. Having more of something don't mean you have it completely. Having more of something does not mean you have it completely. Because we're still going to these people asking for permission for stuff. Somebody who is truly free, you don't have to ask permission for nobody to do anything. You don't have to ask permission from anybody to do anything. When your children are underage and they're under your house, your roof, they have to ask you permission to do things. But once they become adults and they move out, they don't have to ask you for anything. Thank you, Sheldon. I appreciate that. Your children don't have to ask you for your permission to do certain things. Now they're out in this world and they soon learn that, I might not have to ask my mama and my daddy for permission, but now I got to ask these people. So they change from who they have to go to and ask permission, but yet they still have to go and ask permission from somebody. We are not free. Because if we was free, we should be able to walk out here and do whatever we want to do, as long as it's not causing somebody else harm, like bodily harm or unaliving them, without having to ask for permission. You can't even go out here and fish without getting a permit. You can't go out here and fish without asking for permission. And the permission is given to you or granted to you through a permit. Something you have to pay for. So how are you free? We keep ignoring the facts. We keep ignoring the facts, and we keep ignoring the red flags. And we accept people who really are not our friends as our friends and our allies just because now we have the ability to be in their spaces. You have the ability to be in the space of your enemy, so therefore now they my friend. What kind of junk is that? What kind of junk is that? That's not logical. That's not logical. Hey, Katrina, how you doing today? It's just not logical. And I'm looking at a little bird. It's crazy. It's crazy that we have gotten to this point where we don't realize where our people have led us to. And I'm gonna try to say this Martin Luther King phrase, and I know I'm not gonna say it verbatim, but he said something to the extent of he was afraid that he led his people into a burning building when it came to segregation or ending segregation. He was afraid that he had led his people into a burning building. And it's true. Because we fought our people. Some of them died for the rights to live and to be amongst our enemies. I mean, we was already here. So it wasn't too much we can really do. If they really wanted to fight for something, why didn't they fight for us to leave? And I'm not blaming our ancestors. So don't get it twisted. I'm not blaming our ancestors. I'm not blaming our grandparents. I'm not blaming our great-grandparents. They did the best that they could. They did what they thought was right. I understand. Trust me, I do understand. I understand that they did what they thought what was right to have a better life for themselves and their children and for us. I understand that. So I'm not downing them. But now, in hindsight, in hindsight, we have the ability to see what's going on in today's time. We have the ability to see what was going on in their time. And we have the ability to go back even further than that to see what was going on then. And when you look at all of that, nothing has really changed. And when I say nothing, I mean like the foundational things. Not this little pity pat stuff that we now have the ability to be able to do and to be able to obtain. That stuff don't mean nothing. That stuff don't mean nothing. I'm talking about real, serious change. The stuff that we're still fighting for. Why keep fighting for something that people can't give you? Why are you fighting for? Because basically what you're fighting for, what we're fighting for, we're asking for people to pass a law for people who don't like us to now start liking us. That's basically what it is. Sheldon. And it's like, y'all, it's like, that's basically what we're fighting for. We're fighting for them to pass laws so that people who don't like us, people who hate us, the same people who brought us here, which is all of them, even those who are the lawmakers, all of them have some type of ties to slavery. All of them. Check it out. We're asking them to pass laws ultimately for the people who dislike us to change how they see us, to change how they treat us, to change how they view us. That's like, y'all remember when we was in elementary school and it used to be this little girl, this little boy that we wanted to be friends with, but for whatever reason they were mean to us. And if they weren't mean to us, they did something, they kicked us, or they told us they didn't like us, and we start crying. And then we'll go run to the teacher, and the teacher be like, "What's wrong? What's wrong, Shavita? What's wrong with you?" She said she didn't like me. And then the teacher go over there and ask the student, "Well, what's wrong? Did you tell her you didn't like her?" And then the child feel like, okay, it's bad for me to say I don't like a person. Now they feel bad that they don't like you. So now the child either would lie about it and say, "Nah, I didn't say it." Or if the child is bold enough, "Yeah, I don't like her. She, stupid. She stinks. She's got cooties." Whatever. If a child is bold enough, whatever. So now the teacher is going to try to mend their disconnect. She's going to try to put something together where now they can form some type of friendship. That's how it is with us. Going to the government, asking the government to pass laws so that they can bridge the gap between us and our enemies. They don't like us. Accept that. How is it that you can accept people in your neighborhood not liking you and you just stay away from them, but we can't accept the fact that these folks over here that you don't even know don't like you, and then you want to sit over here and fight for rules and laws to be passed to make them like you or to make them treat you fairly? Am I reaching? Am I reaching? Am I saying something that don't make sense? We keep ignoring the red flags. We keep ignoring the red flags, and we want to be accepted so bad. We want to be accepted so bad into spaces that we just don't belong in. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay to not belong everywhere. It's okay. It's okay. It is okay that you don't belong everywhere. Who say that you have to be accepted everywhere? I don't get it now. I don't get it. You gonna make somebody allow you into their space, even though they don't want you there. So now that you get in their space, what you think they're gonna do? Now that you're in their space, what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna do everything they can to take the advantage away from you. And unfortunately, some of us lose our lives because we're in places we don't belong. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Sheldon. If you don't belong, just don't go. If you're not welcome, just don't go. Fighting people to make them say it's okay for you to come in here, knowing that they really don't want you in there. How is that bringing you peace? How is that going to bring you joy? How is that going to bring you any type of relief? Because now you're here. So now you can rub it in their face that you're here. Exactly. That's all they're gonna do the whole time you're in there, staring in your face, talking about you, and ooh, don't let them have to bring you a drink or some food. You gonna trust people like that? That's what I'm saying. It's like we gotta be more logical. We gotta be more factual. We have got to let the truth be the truth, people. We have got to let the truth be the truth and stop watering down stuff. Stop sugarcoating stuff. Stop sitting up here and looking for the good where there's no good. Stop being hopeful for good outcomes in bad situations when you see that it's absolutely no good in it. Like, you just gotta call a spade a spade. I mean, it's just like when we see these people who put themselves in dangerous situations, and then when the danger happened, they look shocked, but everybody else looking like, didn't you know that was gonna happen? It's like going out there feeding the sharks. We're gonna go and feed the sharks. So we're gonna cause all these sharks to come around us while we sit in this cage, and then this big old shark come that you weren't expecting to come, and they rip that cage to shreds, and now you fighting for your life. And somebody on the outside looking like, well, ain't that's what you wanted? Because that's what you went to go see the sharks, didn't you? Oh, so you got to see the sharks. Don't you know sharks are very vicious? Don't you know that sharks have the ability to attack? So why are you looking surprised when you put yourself in that situation? All I'm saying, at the end of the day, we got to stop ignoring the facts. We got to stop ignoring the facts of everything. Not just in one area. Not just when it comes to dating and relationships and family and friends. But look at the facts of life. In any situation that you find yourself in any situation that people are involved in, just look at the facts. Just look at the facts. Look at history and look at things from a different perspective from what we've been programmed to look at it as. Look at it differently. Just see if you can. Just see if you can look at a situation differently than what you have always believed it to be. And just see, do you see a difference? See if you see any type of difference, any way that the situation could have been changed, or how could it have been improved, or what would have been a better way, a better approach, something. Yeah, this conversation has really gone in a different direction than what I had planned on it being. So this live may not be up for long. Because as I have said, I can see some people looking at me differently, and I really don't mind if people look at me differently. But when I say people, I'm not talking about regular folk. I ain't talking about regular folk. I'm talking about, dumb folk who can do some things, in which I ain't worried about that neither. Not at all. I promise you, I ain't worried about it. I am not worried about it. Well, okay. No, it don't always tell me. I mean, sometimes I see somebody shared it, but it never tells me who. And I be hating that because whenever somebody share my stuff, I like to tell them thank you. I want them to know that I appreciate them sharing because it's not all the time that people share your stuff. So anytime somebody finds the information that I'm sharing or saying helpful or beneficial and they share it, I appreciate that a lot. So thank you, Sheldon. You too. As you already know, you working hard out there, and there's a lot of people who appreciate everything that you're doing for them. Um, so the love is equally shared between us. I love you as well. I definitely do. I'm still watching this little bird. They come and visit me every day. And they sing to me, y'all. They sing. They sit up there and they just sing. And I just watch them. And it's like this routine we have every day. So they get my attention. They really do. So I'm waiting for the other one because it's a pair. I guess it's a male and a female. And one will come and then the other will come at a lower level. And they work around each other. But they definitely sing to me. So. But yeah. Yep. I don't think I got anything else to say, y'all. I don't think I got anything else to say. I just want to make it be known that I don't hate anybody, whether that matters or not. I don't hate anybody. I just understand the facts are the facts. The facts are the facts, and just I live according to the truth. I don't ascribe to falsehoods anymore. I'm not gonna sit up here and stand underneath somebody peeing on me and they telling me it's raining and I believe it. I'm just not gonna do that no more. Just not gonna do that no more. And so yeah. I don't think I got anything else to say. This live will be coming down. Thank you, Sheldon. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. Again, it is December 29th, 2024, 10/19. Y'all have a wonderful, blessed day. And again, I hope y'all join the fast on the 31st. On the 31st, we're fasting, and we need it. We need it. We need it. Thank you. You too. Y'all be blessed.